Friends, a boy named Sion was sitting calmly in his classroom while another student was sharing his recent test results. Suddenly, something triggered Sion. He stood up at once and picked up a book. To understand why Sion reacted this way, the story flashes back 13 days earlier. We see that Sion is a brilliant student and a quiet loner. He has no close friends in class and rarely talks to anyone. He always studies alone, listening to music through his earbuds. One day, the class teacher announces the results of a mathematics competition. Sion wins the gold prize, while another boy named Yongbin wins the bronze. Yongbin is known as the most bullied student in the class. During lunch break, Yongbin and his friends are seen bullying another boy. Yongbin notices Sion and throws a slipper at him, pretending it was an accident. He casually apologizes and says, "I'm sorry." However, Sion warns him to be careful next time. Hearing this, Yongbin becomes furious. He challenges Sion and asks what he would do if the same mistake happened again. Sion is about to strike him when students from another class suddenly arrive. They are searching for a boy named Suho because he went on a date with their friend's girlfriend. Suho calmly responds that she was not his type and that she was only chasing him. He adds that he went to the gym instead. This angers the boys and a fight breaks out inside the classroom. Suho turns out to be an exceptional fighter. He defeats the entire group alone and knocks out their leader with a single punch. The violent scene scares the whole class and everyone rushes to the corner in fear, but Sion remains seated and shows no fear at all. He questions Suho, asking why he chose to fight inside the classroom instead of outside. Suho simply smiles and walks away. After school, Sion returns home where he lives with his father. His parents are divorced and his mother works as a teacher. While Sion listens to one of his mother's recorded lectures, his father arrives. He informs Sion that he will be away for work for a few days. The next morning, Sion reaches school very early. The classroom is empty. Later, during sports class, Yongbin and his friends start teasing Sion again. Suddenly, Suho throws a slipper at one of Yongbin's friends, Lee Jejung. He orders him to pick it up and none of them dare to talk back. At this point, Sion's patience reaches its limit. After the class ends, Yongbin and his friends begin mocking Sion once more. Sion finally walks up to Yongbin and tells him to stop harassing him. One of Yongbin's friends grabs Sion by the throat, leaving him unable to break free. Yongbin threatens Sion and demands an apology. Sion refuses to submit. Just then, the teacher enters the classroom. Yongbin's friend quickly releases Sion. They lie to the teacher, claiming they were only joking. Sion stays silent as well, fearing punishment and possible expulsion for everyone involved. After school, Sion returns home, eats something, and resumes studying. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. When he checks outside, he sees Suho, the same boy who was earlier disguised as a delivery worker. Suho is equally surprised to see Sion. Sion tells him that he did not order anything. After checking again, Suho realizes he has come to the wrong address. However, Suho does not leave right away. He casually asks Sion to bring him some water since he is already there. Suho speaks to Sion in a friendly tone, drinks the water, thanks him, and leaves. The next day, a new student named Bombsack joins their class. During lunch break, Yongbin and his friends approach Bombsack and begin harassing him. Sion confronts Yongbin and tells him to leave because it is his seat. Yongbin refuses and once again starts a fight with Sion. Sion grips his pen, ready to defend himself. From a distance, Suho tells them to stop making noise and asks if they cannot see that he is sleeping. Seeing Suho, Yongbin loses the courage to continue and stays silent. Later that day, Yongbin goes to a pub with his friends to drink and party. While drinking, they talk about Sion. Yongbin says Sion needs to be taught a lesson he will never forget. Lee Jong suggests sabotaging Sion's exams since he always scores full marks. He says that if Sion fails this time, he will finally learn his lesson. Meanwhile, Sion continues studying at his cramped study room. At the pub, a boy named Yong brings drugs for Yongbin and his group. Everyone begins using them. Yongbin asks Yong what would happen if fentanyl were applied to someone's neck. Yong explains that applying it there would weaken the effect. He says the person would feel dizzy if they slightly turned their head. After explaining, Yong asks if something serious is going on. Yongbin avoids answering. Yong warns him to stay out of trouble, but Yongbin ignores the advice. He immediately calls his friend Wamso from his previous school. Later, while Sion is returning from his study place, two boys mistake him for a drug dealer. They try to offer him drugs. Sion tells them they have the wrong person and orders them to move aside. The boys threaten him and tell him to speak politely if he wants to stay alive. Sion instantly pulls out his pen, ready to fight. Yong sees the situation and steps in, pulling his friends away. Sion then quietly leaves the area. Soon, the day of the exam arrives. Yongbin takes Bombsack outside and offers him a drink. He tells Bombsack that he contacted his old school and learned that Bombsack was a frequent bully there. Bombsack becomes frightened, realizing his past may follow him again. Yongbin assures him that he will not expose him. However, he demands one thing in return. Yongbin tells Bombsack to apply something to Sion. When the exam starts, Yongbin signals Bombsack. Bombsack pats Sion on the neck and casually says that there was a mosquito sitting there. That is why he did it. After hearing this, Sion says nothing. However, Sion does not realize that a drug has been applied to his neck. Because of this, his condition slowly worsens, and he cannot even complete his exams properly. His head starts spinning, and he suddenly leaves the classroom. He goes to the washroom and splashes water on his face. After a short while, he returns and sits silently at his desk. Moments later, he notices the same fentanyl on his neck. At that instant, he understands everything and starts slapping himself. The entire class is shocked and confused about why Sion is hitting himself. While a student is calling out question numbers, Sion suddenly punches his desk, silencing the room. He glares angrily at Bombsack, and Bombsack freezes in fear just from Sion's stare. Using his knowledge of science, Sion attacks Yongbin and his friends. He strikes Yongbin brutally with a book and stabs another boy with a pen. He then grabs Yongbin and forces him toward the sink, washing him as the class watches in disbelief. Sion continues beating Yongbin until he starts bleeding, shouting that he warned him to stay away. Sehun steps forward to knock Sion out, but Suho stops him, saying this has gone too far. Enraged, Sehun begins throwing objects at Suho as well. The fight ends abruptly when the teacher rushes into the class classroom. To protect Sehun, Suho tells the teacher they are friends who were fighting and that he tried to separate them. He then tells Sehun to apologize to the teacher, but nothing changes despite the apology. Later that night, the teacher takes Seon to the hospital, where Yongbin has been admitted. Yongbin's mother screams at Seon and demands to see his mother, threatening to file a police case and send him to jail. Seon shows her the drugs and explains that Yongbin planted them on him with the help of another boy. He also brings Yongbin's bag, which reveals a large quantity of drugs inside. The teacher warns Yongbin's mother that if she files a complaint, Yongbin will be arrested first. He suggests that transferring Yongbin to another school is the best solution. Yongbin overhears this conversation, and his hatred for Seon deepens even more. When Seon returns home late at night, his father notices the bruises on his face and asks what happened. Seon lies and says that he simply fell. But inside his mind, the same painful thoughts continue to repeat. The next day, as Yongbin prepares to leave the school, two of his friends approach Seon and tell him to come outside. Seon is not afraid at all. He calmly responds that they should just see what happens. As he walks out, the entire class follows, expecting a fight. Instead, Seon enters the bathroom and shuts the door. He pulls out his pen once again, reminding Yongbin's friends of their previous encounters. Seon tells them that this is where everything ends. After that, he walks away. Some students stop him and ask what happened inside and whether he fought them. Seon replies by asking if they are really his friends, pointing out that they have never even spoken before. He then returns to the classroom and quietly takes his seat. Later, Suho arrives. He looks around the classroom and sees no one except Seon. At the hospital, the same boy, Young, comes to visit Yongbin. Yongbin offers Young money and asks him to beat Seon up. Later that night, as Seon is returning home, he runs into Suho, who is out making deliveries. Suho talks to Seon and apologizes for starting a fight with him earlier for no reason. Suho jokingly says he will only accept the apology if Seon treats him. After saying this, Suho leaves. Suho continues making deliveries at different locations, while Seon returns home to study. Suho works his part-time delivery job until late at night. Afterward, he goes back to school and sleeps in his classroom, so he will not be late the next morning. The next day, when Seon arrives at school, he quietly avoids opening the windows so Suho's sleep is not disturbed. At lunchtime, Seon wakes Suho up and treats him to food. They talk for a while, and it is revealed that Suho lives with his grandmother. Next, a boy is shown losing all his money on a betting app. Desperate, he meets Young and a girl named Young. He signs a contract with them and borrows money, hoping to win it back through betting. Later, Young meets Youngmin, and together they wait for Seon to come out. After school, Bumsuk approaches Seon and tries to talk to him. Seon coldly tells him that he does not need an apology and does not want to be friends. After saying this, Seon walks away. While Suho is still sleeping in the classroom, Yongbin and his friends confront Seon. They stop him and begin beating him. Afterward, they drag Seon away to a secluded place to continue beating him. Seeing this, Bumsuk immediately goes to Suho and tells him what is happening. Suho responds indifferently, asking why it should matter to them. He says they cannot keep saving Seon every time and starts heading to work. Bumsuk then tells Suho that he will pay him if he helps save Seon. Hearing this, Suho immediately agrees. They rush together to rescue Seon. Youngjuk takes Seon to an isolated area and tells Youngjuk to keep watch. Yongbin orders Youngjuk to break Seon's arm so he cannot write his exam. Seon carefully observes his surroundings and quickly forms a plan. He suddenly attacks Young with his pen. When Young tries to stop him, Seon strikes him with a flower pot. Seon then throws mud into the other's eyes and attacks them one by one. He knocks them down until he faces Yongbin's two remaining friends. Already terrified, they quietly step aside and move out of Seon's way. However, Yongbin suddenly stands up again and throws Seon to the ground. After this, Yongbin starts kicking Seon repeatedly. His friends grab Seon's arm and try to break it. At that moment, Suho arrives. He kicks all three of them away, frees Seon, and tries to take him with him. However, Young steps in and begins fighting Suho. Taking advantage of the situation, Yongbin and his friends start beating Seon again. Suho and Young are locked in a close fight. During the struggle, Suho notices Yongbin about to throw a bottle at Seon. Suho rushes in to stop him. Young refuses to release Suho. Just as Yongbin is about to throw the bottle, Bombsack arrives and saves Seon. At the same time, Suho manages to get back on his feet. Young decides not to continue the fight. He leaves the place with his friends and Yongbin. Before leaving, Seon warns Yongbin to end the conflict there. He tells him that the consequences will be serious if it continues. After this, all three of them walk away. Suho then takes Seon and Bombsack to a restaurant where he also works. From this point on, Suho includes Seon and Bombsack in his daily routine. Seon asks Suho if he works at two places. Suho replies that he only works as a delivery rider 3 days a week. The three of them sit together and eat. Bombsack apologizes to Seon and admits that Yongbin threatened him and planned everything. Seon listens but does not respond to Bombsack. Later that night, Bombsack looks through Suho's Instagram profile and follows him. He hopes that Suho and Seon will become good friends. Meanwhile, Seon falls asleep peacefully for the first time while listening to his mother's lecture. He realizes what it feels like to finally have friends. Next, a man named Gil-soo is shown forcing young Yoongi and his friends to work for him. When Gil-soo learns that Young was beaten after getting involved in someone else's fight, he becomes furious. He brutally beats Young and breaks his arm. Soon enjoys spending time playing games with them. After that, Suho invites everyone out for drinks. However, Soon refuses, saying he needs to study. Suho and Bombsack are left behind together. Meanwhile, Young, whose arm is broken, calls Youngmin and asks to meet him. Gil-soo meets Youngmin and orders him to take care of some work. At the same time, inside a store during the rain, Seon catches Yoongi stealing lipstick. Yoongi notices her. To escape the shop owner, Yoongi pretends that Seon is her boyfriend and uses her help to get away. Seon shows no reaction to this. He quietly picks up his umbrella and walks away. Suddenly, Yoongi chases after him and insists that she has no umbrella. She asks him to take her home. Instead, she drags Seon to a restaurant and starts eating. There, Yoongi falls in love with Soon at first sight and secretly saves his number on Seon's phone. When the rain stops, Yoongi apologizes to Seon for their argument earlier that day and leaves. Meanwhile, Young and his friend go to borrow money from another boy. The boy has no cash, so he hands over his mother's car keys instead. Young takes the keys and brings them to Gil-soo. At the same time, Gil-soo is threatening another boy to repay the money he owes. He terrifies him by saying he will kill his parents and burn down his house. When Young hands over the car keys, Gil-soo is thrilled. The next day, Yong-bin returns to his old school to collect his belongings. There he meets Seon, Bum-seok, and Suho. He begs them to tell his lawyer that the drugs were not his. He claims this will keep him out of jail. Yong-bin then pleads with Seon, and Seon agrees to help him. All three go with Yong-bin to meet a lawyer. However, Yong-bin betrays them and leads them to Gil-soo and his group. There, Seon notices the same girl, Yoongi. Gil-soo tells them that Young's broken arm from the fight has caused him heavy losses. He gives them 3 days to bring him 15 million won, promising to end the matter after that. Seon and the others quickly realize that Gil-soo is lying. Seon asks if he has any proof that they were responsible. Gil-soo coldly replies that he kills people for money and can kill them too. He then slashes Suho's arm with a knife and warns them again that they have only 3 days. After that, he leaves with his men. From that moment on, Gil-soo keeps a close watch on the three of them. His men start following them everywhere. Tired and desperate, Seon calls Yoongi and asks her to meet him. He disguises himself before meeting her. Seon asks who Gil-soo really is and what kind of work he does. Yoongi explains that they were all orphans and that Gil-soo gave them food and shelter. In return, he forced them to work for him. She reveals that Gil-soo is extremely dangerous and kills people for money. She advises Seon to give him the money to stay alive. But Seon realizes that even if they pay, Gil-soo will never let them go. He understands that Gil-soo will keep demanding more money, just as he does with Yoongi and Yong. Meanwhile, Bum-seok secretly steals his father's watch. The next day, Bum-seok shows Seon and Suho the money he earned by selling the watch. He says that it amounts to 15 million won and insists they should give it to Gil-soo to end everything. When Suho and Seon find out that Bum-seok sold his father's watch, Suho becomes furious. He demands that Bum-seok return both the money and the watch. Seon then tells them that he will handle everything on his own. He explains that he has already planned everything. Seon reveals that Gil-soo traps students by pushing them into drug dealing. He also explains that Gil-soo and his partner run a gambling website called Free Money, which targets high school students. At first, the students win a lot of money, which makes them addicted. Later, they lose everything because the website is secretly controlled by Gil-soo's partner. When the students run out of money, Gil-soo uses their personal information to offer them loans. He charges them much more in return. When they fail to repay the debt, the students steal their parents' belongings and pawn them. Gil-soo then collects the money through this method. He keeps detailed records of all these crimes locked inside his locker. Seon says that if they can access the locker and hand the documents to the police, Gil-soo will have no way to escape. Hearing this, Suho asks Seon how he knows all of these details. Seon chooses not to answer. Soon after, the three of them spot Gil-soo and his men outside the school again. Suho suggests that he will go alone with Gil-soo to his hideout. He tells Seon and Bum-seok to bring the police instead. Suho approaches Gil-soo and tells him that he has a police officer waiting. Gil-soo responds calmly but says he still wants to talk. Suho then claims that he has a new idea that could bring even more profit to the gambling website. Gil-soo is surprised and asks how Suho knows about it. He then decides to leave, taking Suho with him. Yoongi insists that the others stay behind to handle the rest. Gil-soo and Suho leave together. Yoongi immediately goes to Seon and asks where the police are. Seon explains that the police are heading directly to Gil-soo's hideout. After hearing this, Yoongi gives him the address. As soon as Bum-seok hears the address, he takes a taxi and rushes there to save Suho. Seon tries to stop him, but Bum-seok refuses to listen. Seon then calls the police himself. At that moment, someone asks Yoongi what is happening. Yoongi explains that they are trying to get Gil-soo arrested. She says she is helping them so Gil-soo's drug operation can be destroyed forever. Meanwhile, Gil-soo takes Suho to his hideout. Suho secretly uses his watch to send a voice message to Seon. In the message, he describes the color of the gate at the house. Gil-soo drags Suho inside and brutally beats him with a bat. While checking his phone, Gil-soo realizes that his men are bringing the police. This makes him furious and he immediately moves to destroy the evidence. Soon after, Bum-seok arrives with the money and begs Gil-soo to release his friend. He promises to pay everything. Seeing this, Gil-soo takes Bum-seok with him as well. When Seon finally arrives with the police, the house is empty. No one responds from inside. As a result, the police leave the area. Seon then breaks a window and enters the house alone. He notices blood on the floor and Suho no longer answers his calls. Seon realizes that Gil-soo has escaped with all the evidence. Gil-soo is taking Bum-seok and the unconscious Suho to an unknown place. Gil-soo calls Young and figures out that Yoongi and Young helped the three of them. He orders them to come to him immediately. Young understands what is about to happen. He hands Yoongi his credit card and tells him to leave the city for a few days. Young then goes to meet Gil-soo alone. At that moment, Seon calls Yoongi and asks what happened and whether the plan worked. Seon tells him that Gil-soo escaped with all the evidence and Suho. After hearing this, Yoongi realizes that Young is heading straight to Gil-soo. Yoongi immediately shares Young's location with Seon and warns him not to come without the police, saying they will all be killed otherwise. Yoongi then rushes toward Gil-soo along with Young. Meanwhile, Seon tracks the location and runs toward them. Soon after, Yoongi reaches Gil-soo's place, where Bum-seok is tied up and Suho is barely conscious. Seon also arrives nearby and notices several parked cars, realizing that Gil-soo and his men are inside. He immediately calls the police and asks them to come quickly. Gil-soo confronts Yoongi and asks why he betrayed him. He brutally beats Yoongi and ties him up as well. Gil-soo then calls one of Yoongi's friends and orders him to kill Yoongi and Young. However, the friend refuses to do it. Meanwhile, Seon is getting closer. Gil-soo prepares to stab Suho and Bum-seok. At that moment, Young grabs Gil-soo, slams him to the ground, and declares that they are no longer afraid of him. Young starts fighting Gil-soo. Gil-soo pulls out a knife and attacks Young, knocking him unconscious. Suddenly, Yoongi strikes Gil-soo on the head and threatens his companions. Young and Yoongi's friend rush in to help. Gil-soo gets back up, grabs Yoongi by the throat, and tries to stab him. Just then, they hear police sirens. Seon arrives and tells them that the police are already searching the area and that no one will escape. Hearing this, Gil-soo grabs his men and runs away. Seon quickly frees Suho and Bum-seok. However, Gil-soo soon returns after realizing the police were not actually there. He discovers that the siren sound came from Seon's phone, which had been hidden nearby. Gil-soo's men begin attacking attacking them. The group fights back against Gilsu's companions. Gilsu once again pulls out his knife. Seeing this, Young-hoon, Yoongi, and their friend try to escape. At that moment, real police vehicles appear. Yoongi and his friend also run away, as they were involved in selling drugs with Gilsu. Gilsu slashes Seon's face with the knife. Seconds later, the police arrive and aim their guns at them. Gilsu manages to flee, but Seon chases after him. After running a long distance, Seon catches up to Gilsu. Seon grabs a metal rod and attacks him, but Gilsu is far stronger. He is about to stab Seon again when Suho arrives. Seon and Suho fight Gilsu together. Even then, Gilsu proves to be overwhelmingly strong. Somehow, Seon and Suho manage to knock Gilsu unconscious. At the same time, Young tells Yoongi and his friend to run away. He decides to get himself arrested and take all the blame to protect them. With the police closing in, Young surrenders and urges his friends to escape. Before being taken away, he tells them to live a good life. By nightfall, the police arrest everyone involved. Bumseok later returns Seon and Suho's phones, which were dropped during the fight. Afterward, Seon and Bumseok are called to the police station to give their statements. But here comes the family lawyer of Amsu's dad, who is quite a famous politician. He announces that the matter has been handled. He says both of their names have been removed from the case. He also warns them not to speak about it to anyone. He then orders Seon to leave. Before leaving, Seon tells him that no one except Gilsu knowingly dealt drugs. He explains that the others were forced to work under threat. Seon asks him to protect them as well. After saying this, Seon walks away. Bumseok then asks the man if his father knows everything. The lawyer replies that nothing was hidden from him. As Seon leaves the station, he runs into Young. Wanting to end their rivalry, Young casually invites him out to dinner someday. Seon jokingly asks why they all care so much about eating. He then walks outside. There, Seon meets Yoongi. Yoongi is worried about him. Seon reassures her that he is fine and will return soon. Meanwhile, the politician's man takes Bumseok to Gilsu. He tells Bumseok that his boss has ordered him to kill Gilsu personally to take revenge. Bumseok is terrified and unable to do it. The man then beats Gilsu and orders him to kill Bumseok instead. Bumseok still cannot go through with it. He angrily kicks a trash bin and walks away. Later, Seon visits Suho in the hospital with Yoongi. Suho was hospitalized because he suffered the most injuries in the fight. Yoongi apologizes to Suho. Seon explains that Bumseok's father is a powerful politician. He tells Suho that their names have been cleared and everything has been covered up. The three of them begin talking comfortably. Yoongi also becomes close friends with them. The next day, Seon brings food to the hospital. Seeing this, Suho jokes that Seon really acts like a caring friend. Seon laughs for the first time and they all eat together. Later, Bumseok's father is shown on television as a respected national figure. In reality, he is cruel and heartless. He beats Bumseok with a golf club for causing trouble. He coldly says that he should never have adopted a boy like him. This reveals that Bumseok is not his real son. He adopted him only to maintain a good public image. The next day at school, Bumseok notices that Seon, Suho, and Bumseok have become famous. They are praised for exposing the free money scammers. Even Yongbin's friends now fear them. The three grow even closer and plan to hang out together. Suho suggests bringing Yoongi along as well. Back at home, Bumseok looks at the money he earned from selling his father's watch. He still has not returned it. Later, he checks Suho's Instagram profile and sees Seon, Yoongi, and Suho together. Seeing them like that makes him uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Seon goes to a restaurant to meet his mother. There is no warmth between them. His mother leaves early because of a meeting, making the reunion feel empty and distant. At the same time, Bumseok goes out walking with Suho and Yoongi. During their walk, he learns that Suho's birthday is coming soon. Bumseok starts buying drinks for everyone. Seon later joins them as well. However, because of Yoongi's presence, Bumseok begins to feel left out by Seon and Suho. The group then goes to a karaoke room. Suho and Yoongi start singing together. Bumseok, however, is not enjoying himself. He steps out to get more drinks. Outside, he notices some boys from his old school who used to bully him. As soon as he sees them, he hides. When Bumseok returns, he discovers that Yoongi answered a call from those same boys. She unknowingly tells them that Bumseok is at the karaoke. This makes Bumseok furious. He yells at Yoongi, and the two get into a heated argument. After that, Yoongi leaves. Suho follows her outside. Soon after, the boys from Bumseok's old school approach him and say they want to talk. Seon steps in and tells them that they are just talking and that they should leave. The boys back off and walk away. Later at school, some students are talking loudly. Bumseok suddenly snaps and starts shouting at them. When one boy laughs, Bumseok attacks him. The boy mutters that Bumseok is only acting brave because of Seon and Suho. This enrages Bumseok even more. Suho and Seon step in and try to pull him away. After this, Bumseok begins to distance himself from Suho as well. Bumseok starts receiving calls from the same boys from his old school. They want to bully him again. Because of this, he stops answering anyone's calls. Meanwhile, Suho and Seon spend time together, with Suho teaching Seon how to fight. Later, they go to visit Bumseok at his house. They are shocked by how large and luxurious his house is. There, they learn the truth that Bumseok is not the politician's biological son. He was adopted only to improve the politician's public image. Seon then asks Bumseok if the same boys are still bothering him. Bumseok finally opens up and admits that those boys used to beat him regularly. He explains that this was the reason he changed schools. Now they have started calling him again to harass him. Hearing this, Suho tells Bumseok to call them and confront the issue. Bumseok, Seon, and Suho meet the same boys again at the karaoke place. There, Bumseok demands an apology from one of the bullies. The boy refuses. Suho steps forward and threatens him. Frightened, the boy finally apologizes. However, this does not calm Bumseok. He suddenly starts hitting the boy. The boy strikes back, knocking Bumseok's glasses to the floor. Enraged, Bumseok grabs a microphone and attacks him. Suho quickly drags Bumseok out of the room. Afterwards, Seon warns the boys to stay away from Bumseok. Bumseok then turns on Suho and shouts that he is not his slave and will not be controlled by him. Bumseok argues with Suho and storms off. Seon tries to stop him, but Bumseok refuses to listen. He walks away, and moments later, boys from his old school start chasing him. By coincidence, Bumseok runs into Yongbin and his friends. They welcome him and begin beating up the boys who were chasing him. They take their money as well. Bumseok vents all his anger on one of them. Later, he goes to a club with Yongbin's friends to drink. Bumseok buys them drinks. They pretend to befriend him because of his money. Bumseok mistakes this for genuine friendship. He also unfollows Suho on Instagram. Bumseok then approaches some girls, buys them drinks, and starts partying with them. The next day at school, Bumseok ignores Seon and Suho. He leaves them behind and goes to spend time with Yongbin's friends instead. Seon confronts him and asks what is wrong. He questions how Bumseok suddenly became close to Jungchan and Taehoon. Bumseok coldly replies that it is none of Seon's business. Bumseok now completely avoids Suho. He complains that Suho always orders him around and treats him like a servant. Suho overhears this while following him. After saying this, Bumseok walks away. Later that night, Bumseok meets Yongbin again at a club. Yongbin now acts friendly toward him. He introduces Bumseok to a new friend named Kang, who is known as a skilled fighter. Bumseok drinks with them and grows closer to the group. Meanwhile, as Seon is returning home after school, he meets Suho. Suho takes him along on a delivery job. They talk while having drinks together. Suho mentions that Yongbin's group seems to be getting along well with everyone. Seon says that Yongbin's friends are clearly taking advantage of Bumseok. He believes Bumseok is paying for all their parties. Suho disagrees. He suggests that Bumseok might be using them instead, just as he once used Seon and Suho to gain popularity at school. As time passes, Bumseok grows even closer to Yongbin's group. He leaves Seon behind and chooses to sit with them instead. Seeing this, Seon privately warns Yongbin's friends not to exploit Bumseok. Later, during lunchtime, Yongbin's friends try to cut the line. Suho stops them and threatens them to stand properly in line. They comply. However, Bumseok refuses to join the line. Suho orders him to stand in line as well. Bumseok flatly refuses. This creates open tension between the two. A brief fight breaks out. Afterward, Bumseok asks Jungchan if he knows anyone who could kill Suho and teach him a lesson. Jungchan tells him about Kang. Bumseok meets Kang and offers him 1 million won to kill Suho. Kang agrees to do it. Later, Jungchan and his friend tamper with Suho's delivery bike by damaging the brakes. The incident is secretly planned by Bumseok. Suho crashes, but fortunately he is not seriously injured. The next day, Suho returns to school. Suho begins to grow suspicious of Bumseok. A few days later, when Suho's birthday arrives, Seon and Yoongi start preparing for the party. Meanwhile, Bumseok is fully prepared with Kang and the others. He tries calling Suho, but Suho does not answer. Bumseok then sends a message to Seon. However, Yoongi is using Seon's phone at the time. She sees Bumseok asking Seon to meet outside. Yoongi believes Bumseok is no longer their friend. She decides not to ruin Suho's birthday celebration. Because of this, she does not tell Seon anything. She simply says she's going outside to get some things. Yoongi goes to meet Bumseok. She apologizes to him about the karaoke incident. She asks him to come to the party and says she will help fix things between him and the others. Bumseok refuses. At that moment, Yoongi notices Yongbin and the others nearby. She immediately realizes that something is wrong. Back at the party, Suho and Seon wait for Yoongi for a long time. Suho goes to warm up the food. Suddenly, Suho's phone receives several messages. The messages show Bumseok holding Yoongi captive and calling Suho to meet him at a building. Seon sees the messages first and understands the situation. He deletes the messages so Suho does not see them. Without telling Suho anything, Seon leaves. Seon reaches the building and finds Bumseok and the others there. Everyone is shocked to see him. Seon quickly grabs Yoongi and tries to escape. Yongbin and his friends chase after them. Seon fights them all by himself. At the same time, Yoongi calls the police. Seon manages to overpower Yongbin and his companions. Just then, Kang arrives and attacks Seon. Kang knocks him to the ground. Yongbin picks up a metal rod and tries to kill Seon in revenge. Seeing this, Bumseok stops Yongbin. He says that his only grudge is against Suho and tells him to let Seon go. Yongbin ignores him. He brutally beats Seon. This act is too much even for Bumseok to watch. Bumseok walks away. Kang then approaches Bumseok and demands payment for the day. He tells him they will deal with Suho another time. Jongchan and his partner also attack Seon and beat him badly. Soon they realize that Yoongi has returned with the police. They immediately run away. Meanwhile, Suho waits for Yoongi and Seon at the party. No one comes to see him on his birthday. Seon is shown lying in an ambulance. He regains consciousness. Yoongi tells the police everything about Bumseok and the others. Seon refuses to file a report. He also asks Yoongi not to tell Suho about what happened. Seon later calls Bumseok. He tells him to stop everything and stay away from Suho. The story then flashes back to Seon's childhood. His parents are seen fighting over his custody. This reveals that neither of them truly cared for him while he was growing up. Back in the present, Seon's father asks him who beat him. Seon lies and says he fell down the stairs. Meanwhile, Bumseok feels guilty about getting Seon hurt. He locks himself inside a closet. One of his father's men tells him that the police have been contacted. He also tells him that Seon refused to file a complaint because Bumseok is his friend. A few days later, Suho notices that neither Seon nor Bumseok has been coming to school. Suho calls Seon, but he doesn't answer because he is still hospitalized. Suho also asks Yoongi if anything has happened. Yoongi doesn't tell him anything. Frustrated, Suho tells Jongchan and his friend to make Bumseok pay for the damages. Jongchan agrees, and Suho realizes that Bumseok is planning something. Suho then overhears them talking about the fight on the rooftop. He attacks them, and Jongchan finally reveals the truth. Upon learning everything, Suho approaches Yoongi and asks which hospital Seon is admitted to. Yoongi realizes that Suho knows the full story. She tells him that Seon was discharged today. Suho goes to Seon's house. Seon hides his broken arm from Suho. Suho confronts him about the fight, but Seon doesn't speak. Suho then tells him to come to school the next day and leaves. However, Suho is now determined to avenge his friend. Meanwhile, Bumseok's guards beat him again. They say they will send him abroad to study, claiming it doesn't matter whether he lives or dies. Angered, Bumseok storms out of the house. One of his father's men tries to stop him, but he doesn't listen. Bumseok then notices that Suho, Jongchan, and Yongbin have all called him multiple times. After beating Yongbin, Suho asks him to call Bumseok. Bumseok calls Suho and agrees to meet at a certain location. He also contacts Kang and informs him about the fight. Suho arrives at Kang's gym, ready for the fight. Meanwhile, Yoongi calls Seon and tells him that Suho has discovered everything. She adds that Suho didn't come to work work and isn't answering calls. Seon immediately goes looking for Suho. At the gym, Suho refuses to fight Bumseok. He says, I apologize for all the pain I've caused you. Now that I've apologized, you should go and apologize to Seon and Yoongi. Bumseok refuses. Suho punches him, knocking him out. Kang then challenges Suho to a fight. Suho accepts. He first deals with everyone outside the ring and then enters to fight Kang. Kang records the fight. At first, Kang overpowers Suho, but Suho is stronger. He quickly defeats Kang. Jongchan's friend intervenes and knocks Suho away. Kang also kicks him and Suho starts to faint. Bumseok takes this opportunity to vent his anger, repeatedly kicking Suho. Everyone else joins in attacking Suho. Just then, one of Bumseok's father's men arrives. He begins to take Bumseok away. Jongchan notices that Suho has stopped breathing, and everyone flees. Bumseok's father's man stops Jongchan and his friend, saying, I'll save you, just stay here. Bumseok realizes his mistake. He cries and urges Suho to get up. His father's man takes Bumseok away to protect him from the situation. Meanwhile, Yoongi and Seon search everywhere for Suho. They can't find him anywhere, leaving them both deeply distressed. At the same time, Suho is discovered in the gym, severely injured. Bumseok's father calls the police and instructs Kang and Jongchan to lie, saying that they were practicing and Suho fell during training. They give the same statement to the police. Suho is then taken to the hospital. A short time later, Bumseok is beaten by his father for causing trouble again. Bumseok asks if Suho is okay but receives no answer. The next day, Seon arrives at school and notices that Suho hasn't come as it is their final exam. Seon checks his phone and sees that Yoongi has called him multiple times. He immediately calls back and asks Yoongi if she has found out anything. Yoongi explains that Suho is now in the hospital. She tells him that Bumseok and his associates are behind everything. They allegedly got Suho's grandmother to sign some papers and are paying all the hospital bills. Seon rushes to the hospital as soon as he hears this. He finds Suho in a coma, a sight that deeply saddens him. He cries uncontrollably. Yoongi tells Seon to return to school because of the final exams, but Seon, consumed by revenge, refuses to go. Meanwhile, one of Bumseok's father's men tells Bumseok that he will accompany him to school to inform the teachers about his transfer. Bumseok asks if Suho is okay. The man replies, yes, he's alive. If you want him to stay that way, do as he says. Seon arrives at Yongbin's new school. He severely beats Yongbin, demanding to know who caused Suho's condition. Seon stabs Yongbin in the shoulder with a pen. Yongbin reveals the truth. It was Bumseok who orchestrated it. I wasn't even there. I just saw it on video. Yongbin shows Seon the video of Bumseok beating Suho. Enraged, Seon beats Yongbin even more and then heads to Kang's gym. Meanwhile, Yoongi confronts Bumseok in front of his father's car. She says, you're the one who did all this. If you have the guts, come and fight me. Bumseok comes out and replies, it's you who ruined our friendship by coming between us, and walks away. At the gym, Seon confronts Kang. A fierce fight breaks out. Driven by revenge, Seon attacks Kang mercilessly. He uses everything he can find to subdue him. Seon chokes Kang and smashes a dumbbell against his legs, breaking both of them before leaving. Meanwhile, Bumseok and his parents return to school. They are warmly welcomed because they are prominent politicians. Bumseok's father learns that the teachers still believe Suho's injury was an accident and are unaware of Bumseok's involvement. Seon returns to continue his revenge. He attacks Jongchan and his friend with a fire extinguisher. Their teacher immediately calls the police. Seon beats Jongchan and his friend with the fire extinguisher, leaving them unconscious. Then, Seon approaches Bumseok and says, I told you not to do this. Why did you do this? He pins Bumseok down and continues, we were all friends, so why did you betray us? Bumseok in a sad voice replies, you can kill me, Seon. I don't know why I did this. Despite this, Seon still considers Bumseok his friend. He doesn't hit him anymore and storms out of the classroom. The teachers try to stop Seon, but furious, he punches a window, breaking it. He shouts to everyone, what do you want? Seon then returns to the hospital, crying, and sits beside Suho, who is still in a coma. He falls asleep there and later sees Suho appearing to regain consciousness. Suho says, you're really crazy. Seon apologizes to Suho for everything, but when he opens his eyes, he realizes Suho hasn't truly woken up, which makes him cry even more. We are then told that since that day, Bumseok went to another country to study. Youngwon suddenly disappears, blaming himself for everything. Bumseok's father tries to have Seon sent to jail. However, Seon has the same video evidence, which only allows him to be expelled from his school. Seon is then admitted to a new school, Yoon High. Seon goes to his new class. A boy who looks exactly like Youngwon arrives and starts bullying him. Seon pulls out his legendary pen, ready to fight. This concludes Season 1 of Weak Hero Class 1. And with that, the story ends. Friends, let us know how you liked this series in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to our channel. Season 2 is also out. If you want to watch that too, make sure to write Season 2 in the comments. See you in the next video.